no electricity, no nothing. And I remember when I spoke to him about that, he said the first 2 days were beyond difficult, and then he was able to get into a kind of Zen-like mentality. And what ended up being 10 days, he said it could have been a year. So yeah, the situation in his cell is pretty bleak.
He is, one thing I know about your father, he is a very resilient man. You kind of touched on how he's coping with this. Can you give us an idea of how was it in the early stages when you have those calls with him, and how is it today? Is he still as strong? Is he struggling? I can't even imagine being in the dark for 10 days.
So he's definitely that's a very accurate description. He's definitely, resilient. He's probably I would say, I'm obviously biased, but he is definitely the most resilient person that I know by a distance. Very, very mentally tough. And he sat, whenever we speak to him, he's as strong as ever. But he's not the type of person to complain about the conditions that he's in. Whenever we will always ask how he is, but he'll always sort of brush off those sorts of questions. He's more interested in hearing how we are.
I know he's dealt with it in a way that, is what I think is the right way of dealing with it, is he just reads loads and loads of different parts of historical literature, religious literature, and then he does exercise. And it's his two things that he's always loved in life. So I think in a cell, it suits him in a way to just be able to focus on those two things. And every time we call, we only get to speak to him for about 20 minutes. And around that time, randomly, the line will cut off. So he's so focused on ensuring that he's able to spend the first 10 minutes imparting wisdom of whatever he's learnt, whatever religious or life lessons he can impart on us, and then the last 10 minutes he's very focused on finding out how we are, what's our situation, how's our family, and things like that. So we don't actually get very much time to ask about how he's coping, but I know he's doing a lot of reading, that's for sure.
So your last call, did you say how long ago was your last call?
2 weeks ago, probably. Yeah, probably the first call we've had with him for about 2 months. But yeah, we were lucky enough to speak to him like 2 weeks ago.
How does that work? So do you know in advance you're going to speak? So for example, today, do you know when you're going to speak to him next?
No, so it's really chaotic. In fact, I'm glad you asked, because we'll get a message, and it can be sometimes at about 4 a.m. On any day, and it'll suddenly say, okay, call coming at 10 a.m. So we have 6 hours